Good evening, Elvis fans. I've been getting a lot of requests for bootleg singles and the bootleg uh, sleeves that came out for the RCA records that RCA didn't make picture sleeves for in the 50s. So I'm going to go into that tonight, and I've got some EPs from my bootleg collection that I'm going to show, and then a couple of other just kind of oddities. So this one might take a little bit longer because I actually have a few to go through. So what I'm going to start with is this one. This is Please Release Me. It's kind of which came first, the chicken or the egg. Did the single come first or did the album? Not really sure. And I guess, all these years later, it doesn't matter. Thankfully, this is a first pressing, an original copy. Pretty rare because supposedly there was only about 250 or 300 pressed. One of the ways you can tell it's a real one is it didn't come in a sleeve. It's just a simple basic insert. And Elvis's butt goes all the way to the edge of the sleeve. On the album, it's the opposite. Elvis is more centered, so there's space in between. But this is the first bootleg Elvis single that was made, and that's what it looks like on just a real basic Sun label. And it's got My Baby Is Gone and Baby Let's Play House, which was the undoctored original Sun sound. So that's basically the first Elvis single that was ever pressed. To my mind, it's well worth seeking out if you've got a vinyl collection. Took me a while to find an original copy, but I'm glad I did. It's pretty neat to have, and I like vinyl bootlegs anyway. My next one, this is the Elvis Presley Radio Special. Paul Dowling, the guy of Vic Colonna fame, him with Sam Thieker did all the bootlegs like Rockin' with Elvis New Year's Eve, the Rockin' Rebel 1 through 3, Burbank Sessions, all that really cool stuff from the late 70s and early 80s. This was Paul's very first thing that he did. It's got a flap on the top. That's the front cover, and then a back photo shows him with Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey. Real neat thing. It's got I Got a Woman on it and Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Now, one of the bootleg books said there was a second printing. There really wasn't. It's a counterfeit. Same cover, same back cover. Difference is it's pressed on white vinyl. Pretty cool looking. Normally I don't buy counterfeits or bootlegs of bootlegs, but that was a pretty neat one pressed on the white vinyl. One of the other kind of important ones, at least in my mind to have, is on the chicken label. Reason why is this was the first appearance ever of any of Elvis's music from the Louisiana Hayride. It's got That's All Right and Blue Moon of Kentucky. This came out before any album had it, so the sound quality for any of that stuff is probably the best on this record. Neat little one to have. Not a ton of money to pick one up. It was re-released and repressed and bootlegged and done numerous times, so they're pretty easy to find. This one I bought not too long ago. Suspicious Minds. It's a live version, previously unreleased. That's the other side of the cover. Funny how time slips away. I bought that one basically, honestly, because it was cheap and it's pressed on gold vinyl. So, a pretty neat little item. As I'm going along with my record collecting, I'm trying to focus a little bit more on singles because that's really all I have as far as bootleg singles that RCA didn't do or anything like that. So that gets us to the bootleg sleeves. Now, what had happened was when RCA signed Elvis, a lot of you know, they thought he was a fad. Wasn't going to last. Rock and roll wasn't going to last. So they didn't want to put a ton of money into marketing Elvis. So for the first, it's like 11 or 12 singles, with the exception of Hound Dog, there were no picture sleeves. It just came in a generic RCA Records regular sleeve like all their other artists. There were no picture sleeves. So depending on who you believe, uh, there's really no debate as far as who was the first to do it. Paul Lister used to live in Pennsylvania. Now he lives down in Arizona. He was apparently the first guy to make the bootleg sleeves. They're homemade, pretty cheap looking, but they do have some collector value. So he did a set. Another person, I'm not sure who it was, they did another set, and then there's been various offshoots. So altogether, there's about 40 bootleg sleeves. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that have just come out in the last year or so. Those are basically home printed, photoshopped. They look nice, but it's not anything I'm interested in. I haven't bought any, nor will I. I'm not begrudging anybody that wants to buy them. If you do, fine, go ahead. I just prefer kind of the old stuff. So this was the first one. I forgot to forget with Mystery Train. And Paul did basically double-sided sleeves like RCA would have done, in that you got a different picture on each side. So this was the first one that was done. And depending on where you read or who you believe, these either came out in 1968 or like 1972 or 74, something like that. Doesn't really matter. The second variations, these came out in 77 or 78. RCA logo. Now, this is not a Paul Lister sleeve. Someone else made these. But they're pretty nice. It's the same picture on both sides. It really doesn't matter. They're nicely done. This is the one for That's All Right, Mama and Blue Moon of Kentucky. Again, this was the Paul sleeve. So you got two different photos of Elvis. This is the second variation. Again, this is That's All Right, Blue Moon of Kentucky. Same picture on both sides. Then we've got Good Rockin' Tonight, I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine. That's the front cover, front part, and then that's the back. Good Rockin' Tonight, I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine. Problem I have with this is, and I don't know if the camera can catch it up, it's actually a pretty badly made photocopy. So this is not a real one. It's a real fake one. So I'm still trying to find the original Good Rockin' Tonight, I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine. It's basically a filler until I can get it. But that's what the Paul Lister sleeve looks like. Or I'm sorry, this was the second one. Or the second variation. So I'm still trying to find a real one of these. Then you have what are called the rounded sleeves. And they are called rounded because, as you can see at the top, they have that rounded edge or curved edge. This is the one for Good Rockin' Tonight. This is, I think, the fourth variation. There was a third one that's got the same picture on the front, but the back is different. For whatever reason, they put the picture of Elvis and President Nixon on here. Don't know why, but they did. So, and obviously the Hound Dog has nothing to do with Good Rockin' Tonight, but pretty rare sleeve. You don't see these a lot. The first and second variations are the kind of, I would say, the easiest to find. The second variations are a little bit more difficult than the first ones, but they're out there. You're a Heartbreaker, Milk Cow Blues Boogie. This would have been the one that Paul Lister did. Second variation. And really, I just bought them because why not? It was one of those things where I'm going to buy just the first variation, and then I got all those, and the second variations are out there, so I may as well get those too. And fellow collectors, you know how that goes. Baby Let's Play House, I'm left, you're right, she's gone. And again, this is really personal preference for which sleeves you like. I like the ones that Paul Lister did because there's two different photos. But the second variations, there's really nothing wrong with them. Baby Let's Play House. Now this one is a little bit different because they put a different photo on the back. Up until then, the first ones that were done just had same photo front and back, but now they changed it up a little bit. Now we get into Heartbreak Hotel. That's the first variation. Different photo on the back. Heartbreak Hotel, I was the one. Now, for whatever reason, they went back to using the same photo on both sides. So, that's the second variation. Then you've got the third variation, which I'll just show the front cover of it, and then the other one I'll show the back. This is the third variation. Came on really bright blue paper. Somebody just decided it'd be a good idea to make yet another one. And then you've got the fourth variation of Heartbreak Hotel. So there are 4 different sleeves, and then that's the back cover of that one. You know, not much different in between 3 and 4 other than they just changed the color of the paper. I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, and My Baby Left Me. This is the first variation in the rear side of it. This is the second variation, and this one has a different picture on the back. Pretty cool. That's the Tupelo concert from 1956. I'm guessing it was the afternoon show. And then you have a really rare green third variation. It was cheaply made. I mean, it's not great, but you know, for completists like me, if you see it out there, you have to have it. Well, then RCA decides, you know, well, maybe Elvis is going to stay in this rock and roll thing isn't such a fad. So they actually made a real single, or a real cover for Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog. So that's what that one looks like. And then the back cover of it. And then for whatever reason, they decided, you know what, we're not doing picture sleeves again. So you go back to Blue Suede Shoes and Tutti Frutti. That's the first variation. And then you've got the second variation. And whoever made these, I mean, they really took their time and did a nice job. You know, most of these photos, when they came out on these sleeves, nobody had ever seen them, or if they had it, you know, only a few people had. They took some really good pictures. So I'm Counting on You and I Got a Woman. Paul did a little bit of a different thing because on the back side it's just a picture of Elvis. So it's sort of like the Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel sleeve. No writing on the back. I'm Counting on You, I Got a Woman. Very famous Slayer picture from this first album. I'll Never Let You Go, Little Darling. I'm going to sit right down and cry over you. Really, really green sleeve. I'll Never Let You Go. This is the second variation. And again, another really nice picture on the back. Trying to Get to You, I Love You Because. There's actually 2 versions of this sleeve. Supposedly Paul made a spelling error. I know the sleeve is out there. I've seen it. And on here it says, I Live You Because. Now, knowing Paul, he may have done that on purpose just for the collectability, but I think this is the corrected one. I think this came out second. And then we got Just Because, Blue Moon, second variation. Or I'm sorry, this is the first variation. I don't have the second one of this one. Still trying to track that down. Second variation of Just Because with Blue Moon. Same picture, front and back. One's Money Honey, One-Sided Love Affair. Pictures front and back. This is the second variation. Kind of a different sleeve. Has pictures from Love Me Tender on it. Lottie Miss Claudie, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, first variation. And the back side. And then the second variation. And then the picture on the back. And then this is probably the rarest one I have. I saw this on eBay and picked it up. And that's what that one looks like. Now, the cool thing about this one is even though it wasn't, like I said, this is the third variation, and even though it was one of the later ones, in some respects, this is the most like some of the RCA sleeves because it's got ads for other RCA artists on the back. So that's kind of a nice touch. And then the drawing is reminiscent of some of those Australian sleeves, which I think are pretty cool. So those are the bootleg sleeves that I have. As far as value, they run anywhere from probably $20 up to $100, depending on which one you have. So they can get pretty expensive. For the third and fourth variations that I don't have, those are probably on the higher end, just because you never see them. So I've got a couple that I want to dispel some myths or rumors. First one is this classic, Tell Me Pretty Baby. Elvis's first recording session, and of course, there's a question mark. And then on the back, there's all this documentation that this was Elvis's first recording session. It was done in Phoenix, Arizona, with a group called the Red Dots. And I mean, this really created a stir when it came out because this would have predated That's All Right Mama and all the Sun stuff. One minor problem, this isn't Elvis. It's a guy named Michael Conley. I don't even know if he was an Elvis impersonator. He had a voice that was somewhat like Elvis. If you listen to the song, you can tell right away it isn't really Elvis. Again, it's a guy named Michael Conley. These, it's a $5 item probably. It's kind of a curiosity to have if you're into impersonators or that kind of thing. I'm not, but I just happened to get this one cheap, and it came with a bunch of articles about it and some other material, so I picked it up. You can see this on eBay, believe it or not, for like $70 and $80. Don't buy it. Especially if you're not into impersonators. If you can get it for $5 or $6, sure, go ahead and pick it up. It's kind of fun to listen to once or twice. The song's really not that bad, but don't buy it thinking you're getting a rare Elvis single. You're not. It's not Elvis. So we'll put that one to bed. The other one is Orion, and most people know by now his real name was Jimmy Ellis, and he probably sounded more like Elvis than anyone but Elvis. And now keep in mind, I can't stand impersonators. I have no time for any of them. I think they're all junk. As Jim Denny once told Elvis, you should go back to driving a truck. Most of these people should go back to their day jobs. They advertise themselves as tribute artists, not impersonators, because impersonator has a kind of a bad connotation. There is a big difference between tribute artists and impersonators. A tribute artist, or somebody that's playing the music of a group like the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, that kind of thing. A tribute artist goes out there and they perform in their own clothes, sing in the style of, or try to replicate the style of who they are playing, but they don't make any claims to, this is the next best thing to. Um, like I said, tribute artists don't attempt to do anything. They don't, for the most part, don't sing like, they don't dress like, they don't act like, they don't talk like, none of that crap. An impersonator is somebody that makes every attempt to look like, dress like, sound like, talk like, walk like, whatever. So whenever you hear somebody call themselves an Elvis tribute artist, if they're wearing a jumpsuit or Elvis-like clothing, they're an impersonator. So that's my little rant on that. The other thing I am going to show is some bootleg EPs I have. Don't have a ton of these. Still trying to get some. I think they're neat. I've always had a thing for EPs. I just think they're a cool little record. So this first one, this came on the Rockin' Records label. They're all homemade. The covers are, obviously. They're pretty neat. I think they're cool. Whoever did these obviously went to a lot of work. I mean, they put a glossy photo on there, and they have a nice back. It's not great, but I just think they're cool. The bad thing about these is they made like 3 or 4 variations, if not more, of each record. So it's hard to collect all of them or find them. This is another one. And thankfully, the ones I have, they're all different. Real nice picture from Jailhouse Rock, and then a live photo on the back. And then they in the middle, I think it was in the middle of all of everything, they did 2 regular EPs, and then they did a double EP, which I don't have yet. So if you have one and you're looking to sell it, or if you know someone that has one, let me know. And then you've got the Live on the Louisiana Hayride. Again, they went to some trouble to do a really nice homemade thing. It's a real glossy photo. It's hand tinted. And then you've got the back cover. It's got a nice little ad. And so, they're not for everybody. I understand that. It's just what I like to collect. So that's 2 of the EPs. This one is one of the more rare and more expensive. Elvis, King of Rock and Roll. It advertises a little photo album. On side 1, it advertises the 3rd song as being Hound Dog. It's not. It's actually Hot Dog. And anyway, that's what the back cover looks like. And it says made in Malaysia, and apparently this one really was made in Malaysia. Most of the time when a bootlegger says that, like, oh, this was made in Egypt, Germany's probably the most notorious one. I still see people selling the ones that Vic Colonna put out. Well, this came from Germany. It didn't. It came from Southern California. That was just a ploy on the bootlegger's part to make it seem more legitimate. So anyway, and then on the inside of this particular bootleg EP, it's got a nice little photo booklet in it. Not a ton of stuff, but just to, gives the fan a little something extra. It's pretty neat. This is a rare EP. You don't see it every day. And, and one of my next videos is going to be called, What's That Worth? This one I've seen upwards of $200 just because it's rare. I got it for like $30, something like that. So is it worth $200 to somebody? Yeah. Is it worth $30? Yeah, absolutely. I'd buy it all day long at $30. I got pretty lucky finding it like I did, and I snapped it up right away. What's it really worth? I probably would have paid double, triple what I paid for it to get it, just because it's a rare and pretty cool item. Does it mean it's worth that? Not necessarily. And then there were these 3 EPs. There is that one, and Good Rockin' Tonight, and Baby Let's Play House. And these were all done on Sun labels. The replication of the labels is actually pretty good. Most of the time you see these and the labels are just, they're bad imitations. You know, I'm not saying this is perfect, but it's pretty good. The other weird thing, at least to me anyway, again, that's the Baby Let's Play House, the Good Rockin' Tonight EP, and then That's All Right. And there were 2 versions of each of these. And I don't think any one is really worth more than the other, but there are 2 different variations of that. The really nice thing about these EPs is they have the pure Sun sound. And what I mean by that is when RCA bought all the tapes and released the Sun music on the RCA label, they added this phony echo that sounds horrible. These are just the pure Sun recording, Sun tapes in pretty much as perfect quality as you're going to find. The odd thing is Richard Miner from Florida is apparently the guy that made these, and Richard was known for a lot of things. One of them that wasn't his quality releases, except for these. If Richard really was the guy that did them, he did an excellent job. So that's that set of EPs. The Famous TV Guide presents Elvis. That's the front and back. And you got the label, and then there was nothing on the back. It's just dead wax. Easiest way to tell the difference between one of these and a real one, this is a fake one, or counterfeit. The printing is inferior. Even if you look in a book, you can see the difference. And just the color of the label, they didn't get it perfect. It's close, but it's not perfect. The real labels are a little bit more blue. It looks kind of gray on the screen, but the real labels were a little bit more noticeably blue. It's still a cool item, you know, not worth a ton of money. You can pick up these counterfeits all the time for, you know, 20 bucks, whatever it is. I think that's probably what I paid for it. Now, one thing bootleggers did bootleg all the original material. Originally, there was like 2 or 3 pages that came with it, because what had happened was they sent these to disc jockeys, and the disc jockey could ask the question to Elvis and then play the response, is basically what that was. Cool item to have. Again, if you've got a real one with all the inserts, those are probably, you know, anywhere from a $3,000 to $5,000 album, just because they're so rare. You can pick up this one with the sleeve for probably 30 bucks. And then one of the more collectible / notorious EPs is The Beginning. They ripped off the Rockin' Rebel album cover. They did a not terribly great reproduction of That's All Right Mama. And then this is what the inside looks like. And then I had mentioned Sun label reproduction. This is an example of a badly done one. The sun rays don't go all the way to the center. The color is off. Now, it comes on gold vinyl, which that's kind of cool. But these were slapped together. The music on them are the RCA versions, so you're not even getting the original Sun sound. But what they did do, which was kind of neat, they included this little insert. So you got a picture of Sam at the tape recorder. Of course, Elvis in his first concert, or his first album cover, one of the variations of that. And then a couple more pictures on the inside. This little insert's probably the best part of the whole package, to be honest. I bought it because I found it at a good price, honestly. There's one on, if you're looking for one, there's one on eBay now for about 60 or 70 bucks. That's a pretty good price for it. One of the other things is they put four songs on each side. So depending on which one you get, if you get one of the good ones, it won't skip towards the end. If you get one of the bad pressings, it skips at the end. I got lucky. Mine didn't skip anywhere. But then again, I've got a higher end turntable with a weighted tone arm, so that makes a difference too. So those are my bootleg singles and EPs. Again, I apologize for the for the length of this video, but I'll try and do a couple of short ones coming up. If you have any suggestions for what you would like to see, put those in the comments. There are some bootlegs I'm still looking for, so if you have any bootlegs for sale, certainly let me know. I'd be interested in at least hearing about them. If you have any questions about bootlegs, I've found this in my dad's collection. I don't know what it is. I'd be happy to do some research and find out. So thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you the next time.